And Sarah, you've been investing live since March 2016. How's the fund been performing?
Yeah, look, we're pretty happy with performance to date. So since our investment in March, we're up 11.2%. And this performance come, on the back of, some Brexit weakness, which when we saw the outcome of Brexit in June, but also some AUD strength. So the fund is performing as we would like it to see continue to perform, and we can just hopefully continue that outperformance going forward.
Fantastic. And how many stocks would you trade in the portfolio?
Yeah, look, the range for our portfolio is probably between 30 and 60 stocks at any one point in time. At the moment, and since inception, we've had around the 40 stock mark.
And Brexit, Greg, Brexit shocked a few people back in June. So how do you see that playing out, and how do you see that one?
Well, it certainly did shock a few people, shocked us as well. Although I think we quickly formed the view that Brexit was an economic growth issue, and particularly an economic growth issue for the UK, less so for Europe. But most importantly, it wasn't a credit issue. It wasn't a GFC type events where you have issues relating to the bank stocks, with the bank sector coming under pressure. Now, the banks did come under a bit of pressure just after Brexit, but that's since receded. So it's not really a GFC type event. It's an economic growth event for particularly the UK, and the UK may well move into a recession next year. So, and once you're able to define it, narrow or put a fence around it in that sort of sense, which I think broadly is where equities are at the moment, the market was able to move on and say, yep, well, we'll adjust our expectations for the UK and to a lesser extent Europe, but more broadly, well, it's not such a great impact in terms of global growth. And I think that's really how the market viewed it. That's how we were looking at it. And as a result of that, when we formed that view and supported by some good fundamental analysis on some of the stocks, some of the worst hit stocks during the Brexit period, those 2 days after 23rd of June, we actually topped up on in the portfolio. So stocks like Eurotunnel, which was probably the worst hit out of Brexit for fear of what it might lead to, were able to, because we had confidence in our analysis and we formed the view that this was an economic growth issue and not a credit issue, not a big contagion issue, we were then comfortable to add to those stocks, and they've performed well since.
And Donald Trump in the media and causing a bit of a stir. Do you see that being a similar kind of thing emerging as similar to Brexit? Could we see a bit of a surprise there, and how you're positioning yourself for that potential?
The underlying themes of the Trump administration are not dissimilar to Brexit. They're all about nationalism and to some extent putting up fences either in tradeways or in terms of the Trump administration, it could be even hard fences. So that would be a concern, and we are actually preparing our portfolio or preparing our thought process to deal with the potential Trump administration, because that would mean a much more secular United States in the sense of it cutting itself or reducing its exposure to the rest of the world. So it will be a big event. Now at the moment it's not looking like playing out to that extent, but certainly it's something right at the forefront of our minds in terms of running the portfolio as to how we should be prepared in the event a Trump administration looks likely. Now I stress it doesn't look likely at this point, but we're definitely giving a lot of consideration, well, how should we be positioned? Because it is like a Brexit, but in some respects it's a bigger issue than a Brexit, because you're dealing with an economy that's 25% of world GDP being the United States versus the UK, which is 2 or 3% of world GDP.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Sarah, for joining us today and providing a great update on global listed infrastructure and your fund that you're offering through Bennelong Funds Management. Please visit our website to get more information on the fund and how to invest, or contact your nearest BDM. Thank you very much.